Hi, we're Wiser Systems. I'm Seth Hollar, CEO, and we have
Logan Maxwell, wearer of many hats.
glad to have you back. Today we're talking about ROI again, return on investment. But in this scenario, it's a little bit of a different use case. So
Yes.
lay the scene for me.
Okay. It's electronics manufacturing. So this is a specialty calibrated piece. It's really an antenna
Mhm.
that's being manufactured through a multi-step process in a large facility. This is, again, one that if you're interested in, we could likely get you to see or tour. And it's basically another cellular type of process.
And what is cellular? It's not like cellular in terms of the mobile
You're
phone,
right.
but
You're right. We should
cell-based?
explain our terms. A cell-based manufacturing in the sense that a process is done here, things are moved over here. There's another step done, another step done, another step done. There's no physical rail or line that things are running through. We're happening in areas. Different procedures are taking place,
Great.
which is very common if you have a large machine that has to be taken in through the ceiling to do your stamping. That's going to be a cellular based part of your process, because if you need to stamp something, it's got to go to the stamp. The stamper can't come to it, right? So,
Slight interruption. If you have questions or comments or want to reach out to us, go to our website, email us, fill out the contact form. Happy to engage and have a longer discussion. Okay.
yes.
Advertisement aside, so this electronics manufacturer, can you talk about approximately how large a facility this is?
Yes. God, we should have looked up these numbers before I started this video. I would say it's probably between 150 to 250,000 square feet, give or take. So, roughly in that ballpark. Through the
Great.
footprint.
And so they're making some sort of complicated electronics that's
Yes.
cell-based that has to be tested, and it either is a pass-fail and it has to go back through rework if it doesn't pass. Is that is that the right?
Right, exactly. So each step, they're going to do some process. And not every step has this, but after some steps, say, I've put in this piece, right? Well, it still needs to be able to project the same radiation pattern or the same power output. So we need to test that, right? In order to test that in this electronics manufacturer, maybe not everyone, but this should be relatively common to folks that are in this industry. I need to go grab a piece of test equipment, right? I need to grab equipment that's lives somewhere in the facility, bring it to my station.
This is a special piece of equipment, is that right?
Yes, exactly.
It's not like from Home Depot, you buy your multimeter or something like that.
Right.
Wrench.
It's essentially a very fancy
That's a very
multimeter.
okay. Fancy.
It's a calibrated, especially if you're doing any government work or aviation work or other things. This is a very calibrated, fine-tuned multimeter that they go grab, bring to their station, run their
That
test.
sounds very fancy.
It's
Not easily replaceable.
No, I would say it's not easily replaceable. They're expensive in their own right. And they get shuffled around from station to station because you need to come grab it to do your job. And if you don't pass this, right, it has to go back to rework, or you're just waiting, twiddling your thumbs at your station, waiting to get this test equipment to make sure that the procedure you have done passes muster and can go to the next station.
Okay, I have a lot of questions, so let me try to break them out. Um, what are we looking to track here?
Right. So there are a few different moving parts, but what they decided to initially track was the test equipment itself. And there's multiple reasons why you might want to track that test equipment. For one, that test equipment itself needs to be calibrated to make sure it's measuring everything correctly. And in order to calibrate it, you need to find it. You don't want people running around looking for it all the time to do so. But in this particular case, they were losing time and efficiency, that having people finish their assembly step, their manufacturing step,
waiting around.
but waiting around because they couldn't find the test equipment that they needed to bring to their line.
Why is that a big deal? So what if you're waiting around? Yes, I agree that there's labor lost and someone twiddling their thumbs, right?
Yes.
But is it a larger problem than that?
Well, there's labor loss of the person twiddling their thumb. There's also labor loss of going and finding that item, right? And so a lot of times the person that's sitting there having made the item will try to do some other tasks or start prepping for the next thing that they need to produce. There's actually a different group of people that are going to go run around the facility and go find that test equipment often. And so there's actually additional labor loss. But in addition to the labor, there's actually the lost amount of potential work that could have been done at that station at that time, and that compounds.
So I mean, maybe it's a little different, but is this perhaps a cascading effect that when you have some station not being used, that farther down the line, there will be kind of rippling effects of also idle time for other
It
stations?
certainly can. It certainly can. It really depends on the line, on the process, on the facility. But yes, absolutely. In particular, it's like, hey, this station is supposed to put together 4 of these rods, and I need them all to be there in order to do it
At that time.
right. And this 4th rod is waiting for its test fail, right? Pass fail of the test. Okay, well then you can start seeing the issue there.
Right. Okay, great. So you kind of answered my question. They're tracking the test equipment. In theory, you could track other things, but at least for now, we're looking at the ROI related to the test equipment. And there's multiple layers here. There's labor lost. There's opportunity cost or production efficiency cost of that. And then there's the efficient usage of equipment. Is that kind of the realm that we're talking about?
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, so let's jump into our generic ROI calculator. Let's focus tier 1, look at the labor. People either sitting around waiting for product to come to them or other people running around trying to find product.
Right. In this case, we should probably focus on, because it's a more clear cut and I'm more familiar with that side of it, we'll focus that there are 2 full-time people who manage the test equipment.
Okay,
right.
So 2 people here under
right. So
number of people.
that is their job, to manage the test equipment and to make sure, well, 1, it's calibrated, but 2, they're delivered to the lines. People know where they are, right? Or purchasing or selling off different test equipment.
Great. So now they don't spend all of their time running around looking for equipment, although maybe they do. I don't know.
Right.
But
right.
what amount of time is that related to simply not knowing where items are and not putting them in the station at the right time?
Yeah, again, it's tough because we're not at the facility. We have to make a few
Sure.
assumptions, but there is a significant amount of the time. There's a reason there's 2 people that do this job, right? And so there is a significant amount of time just simply trying to manage the test equipment and get it to the right stations. I say upwards to the point where it may be almost half of somebody's time.
Okay. So like 20 hours, for example.
You're right. Yeah, out of a 40-hour week, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And then we talk about, well, labor efficiency equates to some sort of financial cost. So how much are they being paid? And then the overhead on top of that, benefits, and then the additional indirect costs that a company might have with having an employee. So
right.
So maybe they are paid $40 an hour, but there's another $25 an hour on top of that.
Insurance,
the fully loaded.
Yeah, all that sort of thing. Yeah, right.
So you want to shoot for $65?
Sure.
Okay. Again, preface this with, if you're a manufacturer or in operations or manufacturing engineer, this will be very different for your particular scenario, but this is the thinking that we go through in determining what ROI is related to.
There's a reason this is a generic calculator. It's very pretty simplistic and boiled down, but it is helpful, I find.
So okay, so $135,000 a year. That's a big deal.
Yes, and this again compounds. We have had facilities that have had significant reductions. I mean, 10, 20x amount of time is saved. If you think about, you don't know where an item is. It could take you hours to find that item if you have a large enough plant versus just looking on the map. There it is, and you walk to it. There's still the walking time, but 5 minutes is very different than 5 hours.
And you can be kind of efficient about it too. You can anticipate so that the equipment is there at the time the product is there. Whoa, I'm jumping the gun here.
There's
Maybe not in Logan's manufacturing facility.
yeah. Let's just find the thing first.
Okay.
Right? In practicality sense, yes, you can use significant amounts of data to, preemptively know and plan where all these things are going to be. But for the first point, let's just figure out where the thing is, go run and go find it. This is actually incredibly discretely tangible, the amount of time you would save. And your numbers might be different, but it's a pretty easy thing to add up.
But these typical numbers are numbers that we have seen before. They're not outside of the realm.
No, I would say two. Oftentimes it's three. Florida shop had three. California shop, I think, had 5 to 6, and one of the Ohio shops had like 10 people or 12 people that ran around. It's not their whole job, of course, but those hours compound pretty significantly.
Well, let's jump into the other side of it. When you're not making product at a station, there's some sort of tangible loss.
Right. And a lot of times this can be on a per machine basis, per cell basis, right?
So here we're not looking at a per machine basis. Basically, it's at their station.
Right. Yes.
So kind of looking for the idle time at each station because the test equipment isn't coming in time. So I'm going to go ahead and change this number to number of stations. Is that fair?
Yes. And we're assuming, again, that each station is manned largely by one person and that these calibrated electronic antennas are passing through each station. They may have a number of lines in parallel, right? So this is all a pretty boiled down, rough take, but the station is idle because I'm waiting for my test equipment.
And in this case, number of stations that are impacted by the test equipment that you're actually tracking and you have to bring to that station.
Right.
So for this example, what would be a number?
It's just like pull out my number hat. I mean, I think if it's gonna,
you have to channel your
this is
Logan manufacturing.
This is gonna. I've been there like 4 times too. I think this number is going to vary largely in this facility in particular. There's probably 10x this amount of stations, but we're going to make some assumptions that maybe only this percentage of the stations have a test step.
Sure.
Right. So I'm going to roughly say about 20 stations. Sure. And there's a significant amount more than that in the facility, but we're having to make some assumptions here.
Right. And you, as the process improvement engineer, will know exactly how many stations.
Or you won't, and which was even more worrisome.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does that happen?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. So we went. All right, never mind. Well, the different video.
We digress.
Different video.
That's a good idea for a new video. Okay, so now let's look at the downtime that you might see. What's the downtime you might see for for a station if you can't find things? And I might argue that it would be related to the amount of time it takes to search for something.
Yeah, I was going to say it's almost. Now, again, there's other variables, but it should be roughly equivalent, right? If you're searching for an item and you're shut down, right, wouldn't it be roughly equivalent about the amount of time that you're searching for the item that you could be processing something, right? So they should add up roughly about the same thing.
Right. So, if the total number of hours looking for things is up above, say, 20 hours, 2 people, that's about 40 hours total. And here you have 20 stations, so you have the opportunity to reduce the amount of searching. Say 2 hours each station per week. Does that make sense at all?
2 hours per station per week. So that would be, yeah, I mean, it may be a little bit of an overestimate. It's tough to say, like how many minutes, really think about it, minutes per hour of production, right? And so you have to say, am I waiting 5 minutes out of every hour for test equipment? Maybe. That seems reasonable.
Or is there just 1 or 2 instances where you have no idea where the test equipment is and you spend a long time looking for it?
More likely the case.
It's not just consistently 5 minutes. It's more like no minutes and then 3 hours and no minutes.
That is what it is. Yeah. But we're thinking more in average case here.
Sure. Okay. So now this is where you, as the production director, know exactly how many items you're making and what your throughput is per station. Here, let me change this to per station. What we're going to do is simply
Yeah, I don't really.
go back to the Logan's manufacturing facility of making electronic antennas.
It is a real facility, by the way. I don't own it. I've just been there a few times. But I can't purport to be the expert on exactly the product lines and exactly what they're sold for, right?
What's the antenna pattern?
Yeah, exactly. I really don't know.
What's the margin?
I can suffice to say it is calibrated specialty electronic equipment. It needs to be tested and it gets put up, on tower arrays and things. So it's not cheap, right? Gosh, anywhere.
So what's our throughput of the number of antennas or electronic devices per station?
It's definitely, we're not in the hundreds, right? We're going to be more on the
These
counted
are
on.
fairly expensive
Yeah, I think you're going to
devices.
count it on one hand kind of thing.
So
Yeah, something like.
how about 4 or 2? What's your preference? Logan,
We'll
how
see
many
what it is.
antennas do you make per hour?
How many do I make per hour? 15. Let's say that's 15 minutes per task per station. If it's 4, that seems reasonable. I would
Okay.
think 15 minutes.
Sounds good. And now we kind of want to step back and say, hey, this widget or into the device, we're looking for improved production efficiency. So you can make more, you get more of the margin when you're selling more. Overall, you're getting that additional profit. So what's kind of the profit you're looking at on the widget? And again, we don't know those numbers, but you as manufacturers have a cost or a price to the amount of throughput you have in your facility. So this is where you come in and put in your numbers. But in Logan's manufacturing facility, he does have it's turned into a theme. Can't help. I'm so sorry.
I want a disclaimer. I do not own a manufacturing facility of electronic parts. It's not my thing. But it's if you live in a band of the southern United States, you should be able to visit it within a few hours drive. So let us know. We can get you in there and give you a little tour. But
so let's say these are fairly expensive devices. You
They
can
are.
see profit margins maybe on the few thousands. They're $500, $1,000.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
Well, we're going to take a guess.
And
again, your facility will be vastly different.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I really don't know, but it's gonna be an expensive component. They're not gonna be making a ton of them, right? These numbers in your facility, you might be making hundreds or thousands of things that cost $1, right? It's very different.
And then lastly, this one station that one station's impact on profit margin is just a fraction of the total profit margin. So if it contributes to, say, 5%, you have 20 other stations that contribute equally, then that profit margin impact will be, say, 5% from that one station alone.
Right. It's a little more esoteric to think about, but essentially it's like, what are these stations, right? The ones that they're waiting on.
Right.
What is their contribution to the overall product?
And I will say that, these numbers, you might have a different way of doing this.
Oh, they will.
Oh, they will. And if you do, let us know, and we will incorporate that into a generic ROI calculator. So
yes. And before I forget, all of these formulas we can just give you. There's no secret here.
We would go one more than that. If you have a use case scenario and it makes sense, we go out there and we work with you to create this.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've seen enough facilities at this point. I mean, it's reasonable to think that we could get down to this even just within a day.
Yeah.
Asking the right questions.
So while you do get labor savings, probably the bigger punch a lot of the time is the improvement in production.
Yeah, and it can depend. It can be flip-flopped of that if you have a lot of people running around, so it really depends on the facility. And in this particular case, knowing the cost and what was put in, I think we're at an ROI of probably a third of a year, maybe even less. But again, these numbers we're roughing these in pretty hard.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
It varies, but these these savings and the ROI you get from savings like this, do match up to situations we run into.
Oh yeah. We have hard numbers for a fair few sites that would get us almost always under a year, but oftentimes 3 or 4 months is pretty common. So.
Right. So I think we're at the end here. Is there anything you want to add, Logan?
There's this third category that we didn't go into.
Oh, that's right.
It doesn't relate to this use case, but we will likely do some more videos later that it does. This is if you don't get the product out, are there penalties and fees associated with that?
Right.
Right.
Either through
Yeah.
rush orders or penalties from a customer where you don't deliver it.
And it may be that if they don't ship these antennas in time, they are penalized. I am not aware of that if that is the case,
Right.
but it's possible that it is. So just want to say there's a reason we didn't go into that one as well. It's pretty simple. Are there fees and penalties associated to late shipment? That's all.
So if you are interested in knowing more or want to check out our system or have any questions, go online, fill out the form.
Yes. Or if you want this really awesome looking spreadsheet, you got it. We will give you this for free. We're begging to give this to you.
Exactly.
So let us know. Forms, phone. We don't have a fax machine, but we will install one if you want us to. Contact us. Support at Wiser System. Sales at Wiser System. Wiser at Wiser System. I'm just kidding. No, that's not a real one. But yeah, just let us know. We're happy to talk to anybody if you have any interest in any of this sort of stuff.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later.